I know that relationship stuff be out there hard, bro. I'm gonna tell y'all something out there. I learned before I got married. I learned in the street. I knew something was off about relationships because it got to the point where people would. It got to the point where it was no longer about love and it was about lust. Then the lust grew and evolved, and then it got more complex than that. It got more strategic, and it was like when I got married to my ex-wife, it was wrong, but it was mainly for business purpose. And but before that, I started practicing celibacy before I got married. I started practicing celibacy before I got married because I had homeboys and stuff, and like I said, I was a popular kid, so I hung with older dudes. I had a hell of a group, and they was we all would talk. You know, we would have deep conversations about love, relationships, and these it was display and exotic men in the mix, having the same conversation, talking about the same things. So I realized the same pain existed in all the relationships. It was the same trauma in all the relationships. And that's before I knew about these bottles and these bosses. I ain't gonna get into that though, cause I don't even think y'all play that stuff. But I realized money was topping it all for one. And then I realized how easy it was for people to sacrifice love. So I'm looking at my board, y'all. So I stopped looking for love. When me and my brother had that conversation, and me and my brother, we was already utilizing women to in the streets for crazy stuff anyway. I ain't gonna say right now. I wouldn't even say until I got out of this position. I think it's okay to even say. Like I said, I had to start my own site. It didn't have to be a grown-up site, bro. But so I can really tell y'all. I got a few more stories. I ain't really got much more though. I got a few stories. Some of them I'm not gonna tell you. Some of them I want to keep it between just me and God, unless God tell me otherwise. But I'll tell the rest of them though, maybe. But anyway, it wasn't with me. I started practicing for some reason. I don't know. I was always attached to God, even though I was in the street, another street. I was attached to God for some reason, and that right there puzzled me. It dragged me down when it came down to street activity. It didn't drag me down. Like I would make my plugs and stuff happy, but I couldn't make myself happy. And I knew I could make myself happy, but it was like I had to sell out some way. I had to do something. Not what y'all were doing. A little bit more. I guess you could say it was a little more. It might have been worse than that, but it wasn't. It wasn't like that right there though. It would probably would have been. It wouldn't have been good. It would have been like a new bomb basically. It would have been doing something dramatic to initiate myself in something I want to do. But that's probably what it was. I really don't know. But they already knew me and they knew what I wasn't gonna do. But if I wanted to join, it was gonna have to be something pretty severe probably. I just chose to follow God, y'all. I couldn't do it anymore. I was good at what I did, and they didn't bother me because I was good at what I did do. But anyway, so let's talk about this relationship thing. I found power in independence. And I realized it wasn't nobody I couldn't have anyway. And then I realized that if you had money, you can have anybody. Then I realized how easy it was to get anybody with money. And I really had to step back and say, darn, who really care about you, whether it's a friend or a lover? And when I seen how few on the percentile, on the percent table that was, I just said, you know what? I stepped back. When I stepped back with an OG with me, we were real close at the time. I don't know what happened to him, but I actually sang like him because I used to go get him to sing for me in the studio, do hooks for me, and his name was Norman. I was real close to him. Thank you, Norman. Wherever you at, bro. That's my old Norman. I lost a lot of good people in the street. You know, like you know, that's why that cat wasn't mine. Everybody walk behind you, but it was human being dying just for being close to me. You know. How about people that was trying to get me out of this position a long time ago, and we probably coordinated, and we were far apart from each other, and I watched them die in the same year. I knew it was a higher power. I knew it was almost like God was like, you gonna do what I tell you to do, or you ain't gonna have fun doing nothing at all. You ain't gonna do nothing at all. So I quit bringing people in my circle. Once the circle, once that circle was no more, I stopped, y'all. I stopped bringing people in my circle. And that right there is the real reason that I started staying alone. Because I started seeing, I started noticing people was getting tortured. I started noticing people was getting murdered. I started noticing, it didn't matter how far they was away from me. If they made plans, I could have did it in every corner of the world. And it could have been 4 people on each corner of the world, and they all would have died that same. I knew it was a higher power. And like I said, when I had that last near-death experience, I had just asked God, because who else you gonna ask when it keep happening like that? And God told me this was my purpose right here where I'm sitting at. And I was like, oh, okay, it makes sense now. It had to be a slaughterhouse. Guess they're about to find. But when I say I never had a lover, I say it on a whole another scale. Y'all probably saying, he never had a lover because he said this. I wish it was that simple. I wish it was that simple. It ain't never, And then God also told me I gotta be with an angel. Whoever I am over there, whatever I am, I know I'm so strong that I gotta be with an angel. And this is without the devices. I knew this since I was a kid. Of course. I know, you know. And when my brother got taken out, I started paying attention then. So that's the real reason I never got lovers. I never brought no more lovers in my circle. I knew better. If them lovers didn't bend and become very sexually active, they probably were scared or afraid they were gonna lose their life. So I would run them off. I wouldn't run them off. It was peaceful. It wasn't like, I wasn't that ratchet stuff. I would just tell them, oh, I'm not gonna be with you. We can go have a good time though. Why you not gonna be with me? Blah, blah, blah. Oh, you just too fine. That's it. Ain't nothing wrong with you. I'm gonna just drop you off after we go have a good time. And they'd be like, they just think I was weird or something. You know. But I noticed that I don't have, my problem is huge when it comes to relationship. It was. Before I understood all this, Well, now that I understand this, I'm sure it wouldn't be no problem no more. But when I was going basically in the wrong direction, I was putting people's lives in danger somehow. The main goal and the focal point, I think, was not to have kids. I only got one child. If I got two, I really wouldn't know because that girl was all over the place. But, and she claimed the baby, she put the baby on somebody else, so I wouldn't even know. But I know for a fact I only got one, and I intentionally had just one child. I always use protection on everybody, even if I was married to them. Because I knew something was off. I just know something was off. I know now, though. I'm good now. I go get me an angel. I ain't got to worry about all that wearing protection while you married and stuff. That was awful. I thought that was pretty awful. My life was pretty dramatic, y'all. It had nothing to do with sex, so I'm actually having a pretty good time, and y'all having a good time enjoying y'all little tests and stuff. It's kind of, it's different. It's different. It's kind of weird to see so many grown people involved in it. But it's, you know, me personally, if I had a business like that, then it would be, people would be on doctor and nurse status and stuff like that. They wouldn't be making, they wouldn't be disrespecting that right there, because it sounds important. If the oxygen stuff is real in the astro, that gotta be important. It ain't nothing to be, you know, making jokes out of and ruining relationships and selling people out and editing stuff, remodifying stuff. You shouldn't even think about that or something like that. That lets you know if you did have a dream of being a doctor or nurse, you'll never be one. I know you probably know doctors and nurses that do that, but they ain't no good though. I love doctors and nurses. And the ones that I did come across, I done been around. I damn near growed up in the hospital. And the ones I can count on one hand, the ones I didn't like. And I was in the hospital a lot. I should have a stat like this. Been in the hospital my whole life. I don't like this little chip thing. Yeah, I don't really like it. But it's cool though. I get it. I get it. It's important. I get it. It makes sense. It makes plenty of sense. I just don't like it. But yeah, insect, you hear them trying to get in. That's what they do, y'all. I mean, they found that light though. They do that anyway. I went outside the other day. I ran the hell off and out there, but they stuck to me, bro. They had their claws and their teeth in me. They sucked me dry, bro. I don't know how to fix that. I need to talk to God about that. It's one thing having humans come at you, but man, these insects. I told you the snakes chased me up the road one day. I was singing, and my pastor and my ancestor said, "You better stop singing, or a snake will come out there." I'd be damn, a snake came right out there. But anyway, so when it comes down to relationship, I just learned from listening to my boys and stuff, and they was all having the same problem. So I just started observing. I was like, what the hell? Before I realized it was programmed. It's like you, no matter who you are, until you grow and evolve into a upright standing individual, you ain't gonna have a good relationship anyway. It's not gonna be solid anyway. You gonna get with somebody, and worst case scenario, they're gonna be with you 5 to 10 years before they show you their true face. That's ruthless. But in most cases, I think 3 to 6 months or something, you'll know who a person really is. But they just program, and if that person ain't solid, if that person ain't balanced their feminine and their masculine nature, by the time they got with you, forget about it. Forget about it. I ain't gonna say it, I hate to say it that solid, but normally because when you gonna get together and you're gonna try to make plans with one another, and one of the biggest issues is gonna be the fact that y'all got together for money and sex. But once you get together in a relationship, you're gonna know that it requires a lot more than that. Now you gotta build one another. You gotta be like, okay, well, I do this part and you do this part. One of y'all ain't gonna want to do it, if not both of y'all, and that's gonna be a headache. And then y'all just gonna bash with each other. You're gonna leech off your family. You're gonna leech off of other people until they tired of you leeching off of them. It's just gonna be a disaster, and that's how it always went. And when I noticed that, I just said, hell, I ain't missing nothing. I'm finna stay away from it altogether because I already knew something about my energy was throwing people off anyway, and uh, in a good way, it was just unhealthy for me. It was like they'll go crazy, bro. They don't want to stay attached to me and just do weird stuff. And I really be looking forward to that little one night stand that they'll say in the beginning before we even have contact. I look forward to, okay, good, cool. Oh no, it ain't like that. No, they gonna have, no, it ain't nothing like that. It's always the opposite. So that was another headache. And then I just realized something was off about my energy. And my grandparents and stuff, people started trying to tell me, but they just never told me. And then I started having a near-death experience, and the guy started slowly telling me. And I said, oh, okay, I get it now. But I just realized these relationships, they all the same. It's got this little ratchet old detailed story. And it's uneducated, it's low IQ based. It's ridiculous. And my grandpa, he used to always say 50 years old. And the reason why he said 50 years old, because of the lack of education, because of the low IQ in the situation when it comes down to relationships. And otherwise, if you're an intelligent person, you'll know better, so it really don't matter your age. But if you don't know all the importance of a relationship, then 50 years old, it would pretty much, 50 years old, everybody, just about, once you get 50 years old, you just be too tired to drop to exercise that bottom hip like you've been doing, and you just don't want to do all that no more. You don't want to you got all this testosterone when you're young, you got all this energy when you're young, you can just jump around like a rabbit, but eventually your feet start hurting. So you gonna automatically figure a better way out, and you gonna definitely look for one person, you just gonna be tired of doing that. I had a girl tell me one time, we wasn't even together, we wasn't even dealing with each other, but they was trying to kill me, And she said, I need you to die. I said, okay. She said, I said, now, what's the plan? How this gonna work? And she told me her little plan, how it's supposed to work. I said, that ain't gonna work because this and this, all this, I did this myself. Whoever trying to sell me out to you, they can't sell me out to you because I own myself. I did everything you see I got for myself. And I proved it to her. I showed at the time I had all my paperwork before they robbed me. They took my paper. That's really why they robbed me. They want to take all my private mail and my deeds and all that kind of stuff. And that's really why they robbed me. So it was a suitcase full of stuff that I done bought and paid off. And they robbed me and took that suitcase. And they just so happened to get all my clothes and everything else. And when I told her that, and she seen all that, she said, she walked out, she said, I know I didn't sleep with all these people for nothing. So she basically said she went around and slept with a lot of people just to trap me up. And I was like, wow. Bro. And she was beautiful, yo. I was like, wow. Like, you really gonna sacrifice somebody you don't know? Wow. It blew my mind, bro. And see somebody so beautiful. I told her, I said, man, you could have just came up to it. She said she always knew me. I never knew her. I said, you should have just came up to me and we could have went out. I like your potential and everything. I could have put you on a real level. Well, you didn't have to do all that, honey. You'd had the life of your dream, if that's all you were looking for. But she was hot. She was mad, bro. She was mad when she walked out. I never saw her again after that. She was mad. I had some weird encounter with women, bro. Weird. And I just didn't know who I was. I still really don't. When it comes down to all this hidden information, I still really don't. But they know. They know. And people were just always acting timid around me and scared around me. And I just hard people. I'm talking about real gang, real slong dog. They just acted weird. And then the dudes would be on guard. I always wanted rah 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 rah. They always was on guard and stuff. So I just stayed to myself. I got tired of that. You can't fight everybody. And but anyway, so that's how I was with a relationship. I had to practice celibacy because of whatever my ancestors. I didn't know about this ancestry stuff. And when I realized it, by the time I realized it was too late, and I realized my ancestors are vitally dangerous when it comes down to me. I love it. I love my ancestors to death. I wouldn't trade them for nothing. But they vitally dangerous, and they love to play games. They love to play games. They love to set you up. Set me up. They embarrass me to set you up. And they just, ooh, they love to play games. They'll ask me, you cool with? I'm cool. I ain't got nobody. I ain't never had nobody. I ain't looking forward to nobody like that. I like to enjoy the little fun games they got going on social media and stuff, but I don't open my heart to nothing like that. I know better than that. I'm grown. We grown. At the end of the day, we grown. We just on social media. We grown. And some of y'all play the game for real. Y'all grown. I feel sorry for you, but that's a sure sign to a person like me that no matter how much money you got, somehow you ain't got no security. Because when you got security, you don't let nobody. To do that, you either in a group that control your life or your manager that you work for control your life. When you that kind of money, you should have been made your own self a personal security to where you ain't got nobody. You're not gonna take no. Can't nobody just make you do that kind of childish stuff unless there's something wrong with you. And you probably done sacrificed an angel before or tortured an angel before. And I notice when people bother angels, their IQ level go down real low to like a 14-year-old child status. And no matter how beautiful, no matter if you could be a merchant, but somehow your mind, you just ain't clicking right when it comes down to making mature decisions. And I just noticed that. That's how I can tell about angel. I used to have a hard time trying to tell who was angel. Trying to separate an angel from a demon. But now I pretty much get it. And angels normally surrounded, I think they kind of like surrounded by high priests and high priestesses and stuff. But they don't even have to know each other. It's just different patterns and stuff I be noticing. And if I go in a neighborhood, I be like, I bet it's an angel over there. I bet an angel lives somewhere around here. Something like that. I just observe and I pay attention, y'all. I observe and I pay attention. I observe and I pay attention, And I enjoy that. I'm just here doing what God wants me to do. God built me perfectly. My family, the hardship I got from my family, it perfected me. It strengthened me for these moments. So I'm never going to look forward to nothing unless I meet you and you do something like a mature adult normally got to when it comes down to the real. I'm just going to play the game with you. I ain't going to put my emotions in. I'm not going to open my heart. And I ain't never been a gullible man. I can't be a gullible man. I grew up in the family I grew up in. These are all basic kings, queens, no matter how we look, no matter how we act. This is royal bloodline stuff. Ain't nobody here gullible like that. So you couldn't even pull nothing like that out of me. I've always been a leader in everything I ever done. Not even by choice. They'll pick me to be the leader, no matter what it was, whether it was in the streets or in the business. I always had leader status. Always. I try to put myself in a closet, and they'll pull me out of that closet and say leaders can't hide in the closet. Like real. I ain't never had. And these little games I was playing, I think they're cute, they're interesting. I gotta wait anyway. So it's just time consuming. It's just something to kill time while I'm enjoying God's time. I think it's all cute. I think it's it's satisfaction. It's satisfactory when it comes down to utilizing my time the best way possible. I want to do more stuff, but I know y'all got cameras and stuff watching me, so I don't even want to be bothered with all that. I'm not a big fan on. I ain't gonna say that. But yep, that's it. That's my philosophy when it comes to relationship. I really don't know much about it. I know what I would do if I had the opportunity to have a lovable family, but I ain't never had none. So I'm just going by what I seen in other relationships that had the potential to be great and wound up slaughtered by the streets or slaughtered by a company or slaughtered by a third party. And I was like, wow, they had all this potential to do this, do that, and they sold out for a fling. They sold out for a one night stand. They sold out for this, and it's like the energy, like with my ancestors and stuff. They even if you, let's say they're trying to get me with somebody and they marry me in the astro first. If you start slipping before you even meet me, they gonna already start tearing. They call it tearing apart. And that's why I told y'all when y'all do something wrong to somebody, you start feeling spiders. You better either fix immediately what you done, cause they taking you apart over there, man. They taking your wings off. Y'all be thinking I'm joking when I said I went through a moment where they took my wings off, throw them in the trash can. You can feel they taking you apart. You can feel it. Feel like you ever take a pill or something and you itching all over. That's what that means, tearing apart. That's why you shouldn't get on drugs like that, cause them drugs mess with your senses. You need them senses to let you know when ancestors and people are trying to talk to you. You can't feel them sensors if the drugs is always numbing them sensors. Them drugs is shutting them sensors down, so you can't feel them. So you have it. You have these feelings all over your body. They for a reason. Like I told you, if I got a lover, if a lover was coming to me, and that lover is on my right shoulder, and the lover saying, you need to do this, you need to do that, and they thinking that I'm looking at these gadgets and stuff. Okay, that's fine, but I'm in tune with myself. So let's say the lover talked to me months later, and say, yeah, we're gonna do this, but this time when she talked to me, she on my left shoulder. I already know she been slipping. Let's say another 6 months, another 3 months go by, and she say, "Oh yeah, and this and that, and this and that. We can be in contact or not." And she said something to me, and I feel her at my knee, on my left knee. So now she done went below the ass. You feel what I'm saying? So she's no good. No, that's the way the ancestors tell me. That probably work with everybody. I don't know. You should try it. Give it a try with your lover. And I know lovers gonna hate me for this, but you can't cheat on me. I mean, that's why I tell my lover, if you cheat, I'm cool. It don't bother me, but you better be real with me, because my ancestors don't play about me. And that right there will probably help you out, clear the way, and it better probably be a mistake. Because if it's just something you planning on to continue to do, they're going to take you apart. I guess y'all know that already. That's why they scared. They say they scared of me. You got to be real when you come over here, bro. I don't mind. Don't bother me. I ain't the kind of person you go out there and cheat. Now, if you go out there and cheat, you think you finna come and stick me out the nasty? No, I might make you wait, or you just gonna have to sleep with him for a while till I want to sleep with you again. maybe, maybe, I don't know, but you ain't really just, cause I know when you move that fast, that dude don't want you, he want my energy. And what they gonna do is use my DNA against me. And my ancestors gonna be over there helping this clown, and they gonna be attacking me. I know I done went through it too much. I don't like going through that. It's one thing in my life that I hated having a problem with, and that was my own ancestors. So knowledge is power. Peace and love out there.